Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Envelope Live screening series. I'm Randee Dawn, LA Times envelope writer and author of Tune In Tomorrow, an upcoming funny fantasy novel about a reality show run by mythical creatures. Today, we'll be talking about State of the Union. We've all seen therapists with their patients in TV shows, but State of the Union puts a twist on the whole thing. This Emmy winning Sundance TV show, which just wrapped its second season, takes us into the brief period of time before a struggling couple's marital therapy session. And that's it. Each episode runs for about 10 minutes and almost exclusively focuses on the couple's conversation over beer or wine or coffee. Sometimes there's a cookie, where they talk about what's gone wrong in their relationship. Season one starred Chris O'Dodd and Rosamund Pike, who hashed things out in a pub. Season two's couple is Brendan Gleeson and Patricia Clarkson in a coffee house, exploring how far they've managed to drift apart. One of the stars of the second season is joining us today, Patricia Clarkson. A two-time Emmy winner for 6 Feet Under and an Oscar nominee for Pieces of April, Clarkson is a New Orleans-born classic steel magnolia. She can be delicate like in The Green Mile, or enigmatic like in House of Cards, or a completely unbalanced parent like in Sharp Objects. She has a way of drawing her audiences into whatever web she weaves. Patricia, welcome to the Envelope Live screening series.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Randee.
Glad to have you. So let's talk first about how you came to be a part of State of the Union. Who did you know and how did they find you?
Well, honestly, Randee, it's one of those dream calls you get. I've been doing this a long time, and occasionally those fantasies happen. I get a call from my agent, and these are the words he utters. Patty, we have an offer from you. It's to do the second season of State of the Union. You're going to work with Stephen Frears directing. Script, Nick Hornby has written the second season, and they're offering it to Brendan Gleeson. So you would be starring opposite Brendan Gleeson. I said, oh. I said, okay. He said, well, I'm going to send you the script. And I said, there's no need to. Just say yes. I swear.
Yeah, that's just one of those pairings that as soon as I saw those names together, I'm like, why have we not seen this before?
No, and I just and I had to travel to London at the height of COVID. I mean, we were very sequestered and very, very well cared for, and deeply sequestered. I was in my little Mary Poppins apartment with a pitched roof and never left, but except to shoot. So, but it was glorious to be offered this.
Absolutely. Had you met Brendan before? And what was his acting style like compared to yours?
We had never, I feel like I know everybody at this point in my life and in my career, but I had never met Brendan, and yet, I have such tremendous love and admiration for him. I have said this before. I think I'll have a crush on him the rest of my life. But he's exactly what you think. He is a consummate actor. He is malleable. He's flexible. He's truthful. We work in rather similar ways in that we just come ready to kind of be taken and ready for the day ahead and where it might lead us. And we are. We're very visceral actors, and that served us well with this schedule. This was a tough schedule. It was roughly 130 pages that we shot in 15 shooting days, five 3-day weeks. So 15 days. Yeah.
Right.
It was tough. It was rough and tumble, but we had Stephen at the helm. So.
Certainly. And I'm wondering, yes, of course you had a script. How much ad-libbing were you allowed to do? Was there any freedom to do that?
It's interesting. When you have Nick Hornby writing, something comes over you to not be precious, but to be diligent. The writing in this was some of the most beautiful writing I have ever spoken in my life. And I've done Richard Greenberg plays, may just won a Tony. I've done some of the greatest writers in our land. And I, Nick Hornby is an exceptional writer, and we all know that. And the writing was fluid and liquid in a way that if when you get it right, it's actually quite easy. But you have to get it right, and you have to be true to it. And Brendan and I both made a pact that we were going to be true to as many words as we could.
Okay.
I think we signed in blood.
Well, hopefully not. Had you read Nick's books before? He's written About a Boy, High Fidelity.
Yes,
Were you
of
a fan of
course.
his own?
He's a genius. Yes, yes. He's and the fact that I know him now just fills my heart with such joy. The fact that I've had such admiration for this man from afar. He's such a literary giant. You know, forget about the screenplay. He's a literary giant, and then now he's a screenwriter giant. And the fact that I know him well and can WhatsApp him, I'm just, I pinch myself, and all my friends are very jealous of me.
So what was it? Is doing a series where the episodes are short and tight like this, is that easier or harder than, say, when you have a whole script lying out in front, a whole movie or even a half an hour series laid out in front of you?
That's an interesting question, but I think it felt similar. I didn't feel as though, oh, I'm doing something different. Mm-hmm. Brendan and I, and Esco Goulet, the extraordinary new actor on the scene that we were privileged enough to get to play Jay, we approached it as, this is 10 minutes of our lives, 10 minutes of our lives. And that's how you kind of approach when you're doing a full series, a series that is either a half hour or an hour. It's how you approach a film. It's just in a piece by piece by piece in a way. I mean, we knew the whole arc, so we had that in us. So it wasn't that different. It was just we had to take it, 10 minutes by 10 minutes. And I think the secret was not to make it feel finite, but infinite, to make it feel as though we could stretch into this 100 minutes, that people would take a journey through the 100 minutes. They wouldn't experience it necessarily just as these blocks, that every new section brought something different, something else, a new emotion from us. And that's how we approached it. And that's right. Stephen. That's, the impeccable and, the extraordinary Stephen Frears, just was kind of masterful in keeping us kind of going. We were lucky.
Right. I imagine, of course, that with this particular setup, you had probably approximately more costume changes than you might have had in an average movie. At least 10 changes this time, right?
I did have 10 changes, and I had such a beautiful costume designer, and I love my very tight jeans at moments, and then my yoga pants.
I very much like yes. the pink hat.
Oh my, yeah, the pussycat hat. We'll just leave it at pussycat.
Right.
But I brought that, and I thought, because I wore my pink hat to the big women's rally, and I've worn it since. And I said, well, wait, I'm going to bring that to London and wear it. Because women, remember, we were wearing them at every march we went to.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
sure.
They became this powerful symbol for all of us. So I brought my pink hat to London.
I love that it's actually your hat. That's terrific.
It is, and that
Um,
is my hat. I still have it.
yeah. It
Yeah.
makes me wonder also, what did you identify with in Ellen? I mean, do you know people like her? Are you like
Yes.
her?
Well, I do. I have four older sisters. They hate it when I say older, but you are. Can't you just say, Betty, you have four sisters? I'm like, no, you're my older sisters. Anyway, we're all like a year and a half apart. We're all, very, my mother had us very quickly.
Mhm.
No, I they have lived these very specific lives, and I'm very, very close to my sisters. They've lived, I have not lived a life of Ellen. I have not been married and had children, but my sisters all have, and
Mm.
they have imprinted on me their lives, and my friends. I have many friends who have, and I'm a sponge. I take in people's lives every day. But what has, heartbreak and loss, I certainly have been through. I've had, remarkable men in my life and very serious relationships. And that's what we do in acting. We have to dig deep. We have to go to the places we'd rather forget and rather move on from. But sadly, as actors, we never really can, because it just keeps coming back. And so there were many moments of Ellen's that I certainly have found myself in, but her kind of the architecture of her life, I certainly have known in other remarkable women in my life, women who have been great mothers and great wives, and have sometimes lost it and have
Mhm.
sometimes failed. And, so it was as funny as Nick's writing can be, brilliantly funny. It is I think at the end of the day, quite heartbreaking. So,
Mm. Right. I wonder because when I was watching it, I felt, and perhaps this is because I'm a woman, when Ellen walks in and you figure, oh, well, she's obviously been wronged in some way. We're going to learn about her and find out why she's the wronged party here. And then you spend a couple of episodes and you realize she's been doing some wronging herself. And do you feel like Ellen is cruel to Scott, that she's done all of this growth and changing, but left him out of the loop?
no, I think I think she was a very good wife and a very good mother. And I think
Mhm.
she suffered the slings and arrows from him and still stayed steadfast. And I think she harbored some feelings that she did not express, which was a mistake,
Mhm.
even though they had been to therapy. But but I do think at the core, she deeply loved this man and finds him very funny and delicious. But um, I think she started this new path in life, and sadly, the blinders were put on. And I think she really had to go forward in this path, in order to save herself,
Mhm.
in order to 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 really. I think she was melting.
Mhm.
I think she needed a new direction. And I just don't think, I think she realized he might not be up for it. And she probably underestimated him,
Mm.
which was also a mistake she made. But
Right.
I don't think she made a tremendous amount of mistakes early on. And I think she lived through quite a bit with him. And I think she lived in the shadows and was okay with that. But I think suddenly she realized she had a much larger place in this world. And I think she had buried that larger place in this world.
Mm. Well,
And
there's yeah, I
yeah,
love
she
that
wanted to
phrase.
find it.
Right. I love that phrase that
Well,
she was melting. That just kind of, that to me really encapsulates a lot of it.
hmm
Did you
that
did you go?
beautiful Mary Oliver. that beautiful Mary Oliver quote, "What will you do with your one wild and beautiful life? What will you
Right.
do?" It haunted her. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, not at all. There's a little bit of a delay here. So if we talk over each other, my
Yeah.
apologies. Um, did you go at any point to Nick and just ask him a little bit more about how Scott and Ellen even got together in the first place? They seem like they might have been such polar opposites. I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know that story too.
Well, I think we were somewhat, but I think, we were raised rather suburban. We were raised in a very conventional way. And, I think we grew up in very similar, I think we grew up in similar households somewhat. I think we, I think we were destined in some odd way. And I think it was kind of glorious when we first got together. I think it was sexy and funny, and we carved out this life for us that we both had probably dreamt of as young people,
Mhm.
in that kind of suburban life, which suburbia is lovely. I mean, it's why people live there. It's a beautiful life. It can be a very um uh and I don't like the word safe because I don't know that suburban business, but it can be a life that can hold you and carry you
Mhm.
and be formidable in its way. But for Ellen, it started to break down. She started to realize it wasn't the life she wanted, you know.
Right, right. And in thinking about Ellen, I'm not as good at remembering the exact script as probably you are, so you may remember this line better than I
Well,
do.
then we
But
shot it a while ago.
well,
I'm
in
on
any
to
case,
another
there's
project right now.
oh right, of course. But I mean, there's a line that Jay says at one point, something along the lines about this is later in the episodes about how Ellen is kind of embracing groups of people, while Scott has learned to look at individuals. Does that ring any bells?
Yes,
That's not the
yes.
quote by any means,
Yeah.
but that's the
I know.
concept.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
loved that because I sort of feel like we've gotten to a point with the characters at that point where Ellen is true to herself, but in some ways there's a bit of a performative aspect to some of the things that she's been
Yes,
doing. Um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
right. So do you think that
Is
Ellen has
she,
really evolved? Oh, no, go right ahead.
do I think, well, I think I know where you're going. Is she genuinely evolving, or is it more? And that was something I had to kind of reconcile.
Mhm.
And, you're in, perceptive to have picked up on that. I think it vacillates between a woman who's never been in this world or been somewhat on the outside. Remember, she was working at nonprofits, so
Mhm.
she always had one foot in the door of that world. So I don't know that it's completely a performance or a creation. I
Mhm.
think she genuinely wants to move in that direction. And I think
Mhm.
the Quaker life where she's moving towards, I think is a real, true calling she is thinking. I think she really believes it's a true calling.
Mhm.
And I think, I don't think I think that's real. It's just, she is at times pretentious.
Yeah.
There, I
A
said
little,
it. There,
a
I
little,
said
maybe a
it.
little precious, maybe not quite as
Precious,
far as pretentious, but
pretentious,
precious.
precious. Okay,
Yes.
precious. That's even
One of the
better.
two.
She is. She's a little precious. Damn
Yeah.
it.
um, so since they're kind of having a little mini therapy session between themselves before they go to the official one.
Hmm.
What's your take on therapy as a useful tool for growth?
Um, I think for many people it is essential. Um, I have not had a lot of therapy in my life. I probably should have. um, I, uh, but I have many people in my life who have found it essential and life changing, and it can be. I know people whose lives and marriages have been saved by it. So I do think it is a vital and extraordinary part of our world and our lives today.
Mhm.
Uh, and thank God there are no more stigmas around it. I mean, everybody's in therapy. So it,
That's true.
it's a wonderful thing. Um,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
And so far in the two seasons that I've watched, State of the Union is really making this case that two people can hash out a lot of their own issues if they just sit down and talk them through, which of course is the point of therapy. But I'm wondering, do you feel like that's maybe a bigger metaphor for some of the divisiveness that we see in our fellow citizens right now?
Please let it be. I mean, please let us figure out some way to come together in this. Our country right now is. I mean, it's depressing, and there's no other word. It's fraught and horrible, and hopefully, maybe somehow. I mean, look, they just worked out a new gun bill. They came together somehow. So
Mhm.
because they sat down in a room, and I wondered, should they have had a therapist in that room? But no, maybe that's what the Senate needs. Honestly, maybe that's
Yeah,
what the Senate needs is a therapist.
a
Oh my
therapist
God,
in
wouldn't that
chief.
be extraordinary? Oh my
Yes.
God, wouldn't that be extraordinary? Um, but I think they go hand, that they're tandem. They go in hand in hand. I think, of course, a couple in therapy is going to also take the time to work on themselves by themselves
Mhm.
in any moment they can, hopefully, unless they are so, unless it's so polar, unless they are so split and so broken that they
Mhm.
can't even come together for 10 minutes. And that's what I love, what Nick has done, that even sometimes when you can come together for even 10 minutes, things can sometimes get better. And maybe
Right.
that's what our Senate should think about is maybe, hey, you guys, can you come together for just 10 minutes? Maybe they should be the next State of the Union.
To go back to the political angle here. Yes, exactly. State of
just,
the Union,
just,
State of the
yeah,
Congress.
yeah, yeah,
Why not?
yeah. Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, 10 minutes. Chuck and
That's right.
Mitch. That's next
That's the
season.
next that's season 3 for sure. Absolutely, we totally need that. Nick,
Oh my God.
um, and speaking of divisiveness and discussing things, what's one thing that you believe that no one is ever going to change your mind about?
Oh, my values that I was
Mm,
born with, my ethics and my values, and the way I was raised to, as corny as it sounds, to love all, to accept all, uh, to honor those lives that are maybe not my own. People let people be exactly who they want to be and what they are, and that's how I was raised. I was raised not to tolerate, to accept, which is a much more
mm,
powerful way to live. Nobody tolerates me as a straight white lady.
mhm.
Nobody. Everybody just, it's complete acceptance and ease. And that's hopefully um, how we move forward to have a more perfect union. And until we do, we never will.
Very well said. So tell me, I know you're working on something else right now. What has got you most excited to do next? You could talk about a project, a vacation, a meal. What's got you most excited next?
uh, well, I have some beautiful things I've done. I have a gorgeous beautiful film coming out in the fall called Monica, um, that stars Trace Lizette. I have a transgender daughter in it, and it's exquisite. And we're going to some festivals. It's a very big thing. And I have another film about where I play Rebecca Corbett, the stunning investigative editor of the New York Times. And now I'm shooting. This is what's kicked. Can I say it now? This is what's amazing in my life is, Randee, I am playing this incredible spy right now. I'm the lead of this 8-part series, and I'm a spy, like a real spy, like a real intelligence officer coming back in from the cold. And she's sexy as hell and formidable and really like a first-class killer. I'm just going to say it.
Okay. What's the title of this? Because you may have mentioned it. Say it again.
It's called Gray, and I play Cornelia Gray.
Love it. I love it. We didn't touch on this at all, and I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but it's got to be very satisfying to not, there's always been these discussions of like, oh, there's no great roles once you're over 50 or something like that. And I know you're only 51, but but I'm just wondering, do you feel like we are getting more responsive and inclusive, and it's not quite so ageist in terms of the types of roles that you're seeing?
1000%, Randee. The world has really shifted. We have shifted. We still have a ways to go. We still don't have enough women behind the camera, but we are. The way that women, and of course women of certain ages, women of color, we are moving finally. It's not quite a tidal wave, but it is you could surf it. It's on the horizon. We are moving ever so gracefully towards a better place in our industry. Women do well when we lead things. People tune in. We win awards. We do well at the center of things. I think we and women of a certain age or over a certain age are back. We're back in demand, and that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what gets me. I'm about to go shoot a 16-hour day.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Wow.
So I'm excited, and I'm thankful. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we'll let you go do that. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us for tonight's edition of the Envelope Live screening series. A big thanks to Patricia Clarkson for talking with us about State of the Union. I'm Randee Dawn, and we look forward to seeing you all again.